Even though it was 3 years ago, even though it was the 2020 shortened season, every time I hear the name Cody Bellinger, I can't help but think of a certain situation. Just go ahead and roll the clip.
Bellinger twisting around, still going. He's at the wall. He leaps, and he made the catch.
But the bottom line is the San Diego Padres need a left-handed bat in the lineup, and I want to ask the theoretical question, should the Padres go after Cody Bellinger? Now, word on the street is he wants around $200 million, and the big question is, who is the real Cody Bellinger? Is it the former MVP winner? Is it the guy who had that 167 OPS plus to win the MVP in 2019, who's hit 30 home runs, 40 home runs, who's just been an absolute dog? Or is it that guy who's been absolutely lost at the plate the last 3 years for the Dodgers up until last year with the Chicago Cubs, where he had a very nice, very good comeback year? That's the big question, because, teams don't necessarily want to take that big risk, especially if the guy's seeking $200 million. And for the Padres, while there have been no official reports other than Bob Nightingale saying that the Padres are, quote, definitely in the conversation for Bellinger, that they're really interested, especially in a season where they're really just trying to cut payroll all to their abilities. The Padres, at the end of the day, their starting lineup currently consists of Cal Mitchell, Matthew Batten, and Jose Azocar. I know we're thinking about calling up Jackson Merrill, and I'd definitely be in on that, but in general, the Padres, it just shows their lack of depth and that they are in a position where they really don't have the best pieces at certain positions. Now, if Bellinger wants $200 million, I personally just say, hell no, just don't even try it. But in general, if he's willing to take a little bit off, especially when the Toronto Blue Jays just signed Kevin Kiermaier to the 1-year, $10.5 million contract, possibly putting them out of the conversation while they were initially seen as front runners along with the Chicago Cubs for Cody Bellinger. So that's always interesting. But I think in general, when the Padres absolutely need left-handed bats and absolutely need a center fielder, because, Fernando literally said, I see myself as a right fielder. And a season where a guy plays his very first season at a position and wins a platinum glove and shows that he's actually comfortable, I think it's huge for Fernando to stay comfortable there in the outfield and, in right field. So I think it's huge for the Padres to grab a left-handed bat that can play center field, that can play first base, that's versatile, and has a ceiling of winning an MVP. But like I say, guys, the guy's ceiling is so high, but the floor is just so low, and that is a huge concern for teams. And I do want to say Bellinger had a very, very weird 2023 season, because yes, he absolutely had a comeback year, 307 batting average, 26 home runs, 881 OPS. Those are superstar great numbers. That's going to get you a lot of MVP votes, and as we saw, he got some MVP votes, right? But the weird thing is, in 2023, Bellinger had his lowest average exit velocity and lowest hard hit rate of his entire career. And now that kind of goes to show you that maybe his stats were a little bit lucky, because another thing that's interesting to note, expected batting average in 2023 was a lot lower than his actual batting average of 307, which goes to show you that maybe a lot of his hits were lucky. Now, something that is encouraging overall, besides the overall numbers of how he had a much better year, in fact, a great year, is the fact that he had his lowest strikeout percentage of his entire career. I mean, this could be due to many things. Maybe he was more aggressive in counts, but just in general, it's huge to see that Cody Bellinger has a lower strikeout percentage, because that's always been one of his biggest problems. One thing that I always get worried about when I look at the guy swing like Bellinger is the fact that his barrel is in the zone for a very, very small amount of time. Now, when you think of Cody Bellinger, of course, he's got that long swing, get ready, boom. But you have to understand his barrel in general, especially over the 3 years that he really struggled, was only in the zone for a very, very minuscule amount of time. And I think that's one of the reasons he wasn't making contact or he was just pulling off. Because in general, Cody Bellinger is an absolute pull hitter. And the problem with that is that when there's pitches all over the zone, you can't really connect. You can't really make great contact. And that leads to either whiffs or weak little contact. You think about Juan Soto when he was struggling in the early parts of 2023, really just pulling off the ball and kind of just abandoning his, balanced hitter status. That really was one of his biggest struggles. But then when Soto started using the whole field in June, that's what translated to a lot more hits, a lot more home runs, and just overall a better baseball player. And I think for Bellinger to have his lowest strikeout rate of his career, that tells me a lot of things. It tells me that his barrel is going to be in the zone for longer, so he's maybe had some good swing mechanic changes. But in general, obviously with the lower strikeout percentage, Bellinger was just putting the ball in play more. And the expression put the ball in play, good things happen, I think that really happened in 2023. 26 home runs and OPS near 900. What more can you ask for? I don't care if the expected batting average and all this other stats didn't say that. In general, just trying to avoid the strikeout is one of the best things any hitter can do, because in 2023, Bellinger had his second highest sweet spot percentage in all of his MLB career, so I just think that's also really encouraging. Obviously, you can look at the weirder stats, like his average exit velocity and his hard hit percentage being on the lower side, but in general, the guy had a good year. Yes, maybe his expected batting average is very low, but he definitely showed some value. Now, if he wants $200 million, like I said, I'm just not on board with that at all. Especially when the Padres are doing everything they can to cut payroll and kind of this retool year it seems to be. It just wouldn't really be worth it because it's just such a risk. Maybe you can throw a team option in there pretty early, but Bellinger would not be incentivized to take that. So it's going to be interesting to see the way he takes. Personally, I do not see him signing with the Padres. I would be excited, obviously, if he signs because it's an absolute position of need. Obviously, we need an outfielder, and center field, and we need lefties. And when Cody Bellinger has such a ceiling and he's on the market, that's huge. But obviously the floor, that's very concerning because it could be very low. You know, the guy was putting up abysmal seasons for a couple seasons there. So it's going to be very interesting to see. He's also a great defender. He could play center and first and plays very good defense in both positions. So that's going to be very important to see how that plays out. But overall, I honestly just see him signing with the Chicago Cubs again. You know, maybe they'll just be the first ones to say, all right, we'll just give you the $200 million. You had a great year with us last year. But I don't know. It's very high amount of money for a guy who's a big risk. You know, who is the real Cody Bellinger? That is obviously the question. You know, the guy had a good year. It shows that Cody Bellinger, that MVP Bellinger, that Bellinger that is actually a good player is still somewhere in there. But you also got to think about it logistically for the Padres. I mean, again, they're just trying to cut payroll, and I'm not sure they're willing to really commit this type of money to somebody who's as risky as Bellinger. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think that the Padres should go after Cody Bellinger, or do you think they should keep their distance and then maybe see for another signing, bring up Merrill, and keep trying to develop their own players? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you yet to do so. Give the video a like and turn on that post notification bell. If you guys like Padres baseball and baseball in general, this is the place to be. But for now, that's it for me. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.